Hi, this is David Rough and Roll ASMR. I'm going to be talking with a soft whispering, relaxing video talking about the late 70s and 80s music scene, which was really my wheelhouse where I was at. In 1978, when I was 10 years old after my birthday, I heard all these great songs about a band called Kiss. So I went to the record store back then, vinyls, and I looked up, and Kiss had their latest albums were Kiss Alive 2 and Double Platinum. Double Platinum was a greatest hits studio, and Kiss Alive, well, as it suggests, Kiss Alive 2 actually, um, was a live album, and that's the one that this 10-year-old bought and it changed my life. From then, I was a Kiss addict from the time I was 10 to now that I'm 58. So that's 48 years of being a Kiss fan, as you can see. I also loved Survivor, my Survivor bandana. But Kiss, yeah. Basically, Detroit Rock City. I was hooked from the opening. You wanted the best, you got the best. The hottest band in the world, Kiss. And then Detroit Rock City came on, and Love Gun and Shock Me, to name a few. That really, as a 10-year-old, I was just mesmerized for the next 3 years. I didn't buy anything that didn't have the Kiss logo on it. Um, but basically, before that, I was listening to Sean Cassidy, who had a big hit with the Do Run Run, which sounds kind of corny in retrospect, but that's rock and roll, Hey Deanie, Magic. He had two big albums that were big sellers. He was a big teen idol back then, and he was also an actor with Parker Stevenson on the Hardy Boys series on television. And I was a big fan of the Hardy Boy books. My grandmother bought me the first 20 hardcover books by the Hardy Boys by Franklin W. Dixon, and I was a big fan. So I watched the show and Sean Cassidy on television, and I listened to the Bee Gees. I fell in love with Olivia Newton-John in the movie Xanadu, which had a great soundtrack with Xanadu. Got to believe we are magic. Just an awesome soundtrack, and I went to see that in the theater when I was just a kid. And Olivia Newton-John, the Bee Gees, Tragedy, Andy Gibb, who had Shadow Dancing and Love is Thicker Than Water, who was dating Victoria Principal, and she basically gave him an ultimatum: either you stop doing cocaine, or you lose me. And he chose the cocaine, unfortunately, and ended up dying of an overdose months later. But it was tragic. But I was listening to that, Donnie and Marie, also, back then. And then when I was 10, basically, I became a Kiss fan, and I went and discovered their classic Destroyer, which is their best studio album. It had Beth, which was the number one single and got them on an American Music Award. They also, had the albums Love Gun and Destroyer and Rock and Roll Over that did really well, and that's what Alive 2 was all about. Was those three albums basically? Kiss Alive, their first live album, put them on the map in 1974. And during the 70s, Kiss ruled the world. They had merchandising. They're the number one band on earth, number one selling albums, tours, you name it. They were huge. And basically, the Ace Frehley and Eddie Van Halen were on the cover of every rock magazine on the planet. They were considered the two best, guitar players until the late great Randy Rhoads came along with Blizzard of Oz. The 80s were filled with classic albums. Basically, if you look at it, um, let's see, Back in Black from AC/DC, which I'm going to see in July at the Jean Drapeau Center with my brother and sister. That'll be really cool. But AC/DC Back in Black which was basically a greatest hits album because every song is a hit. I mean, you had Back in Black, Hell's Bells, Shoot the Thrill, You Shook Me All Night Long, Giving the Dog a Bone, you know. I mean, just every song is a hit. And so it was, you know, the song, the replacement singer after Bon Scott's tragic death was Brian Johnson, who came, and the first album they did was Back in Black, which became their biggest seller. But after Bon Scott died, I mean, he did Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap and Highway to Hell, which were big, you know, favorites and big albums, you know. So they really did, you know, a number, and they were amazing, you know. And Ozzy Osbourne, after he got fired from Black Sabbath, Rudy Sarzo and Randy Rhoads were actually the founders of Quiet Riot, and Randy Rhoads introduced him to Ozzy Osbourne, and Randy went with Ozzy, and of course they created Blizzard of Oz, which contained I Don't Know, Suicide Solution, Crazy Train, Goodbye to Romance. I mean, just a great song. And then the follow up, Diary of a Madman, with Flying High Again, Over the Mountain, Mr. Crowley, just to name a few. And then tragically, Randy Rhoads died in a horrific airplane accident where they were buzzing over the bus, and one of the tour drivers had an expired pilot's license and some stuff in his bloodstream that he shouldn't have had. And a woman sitting in the front seat, it's believed, accidentally hit there was like a floor pedal on the passenger side, and it made the plane tilt and lose altitude. And so it clipped the top of the turbos and exploded when it went out of control. And that's how Randy Rhoads died. And it was just tragic. You know, he was the original founder and guitarist of Quiet Riot, who came out with a classic album, you know, when they came out with Metal Health with Carlos Cavazo, who replaced Randy Rhoads. And it was like the opened up heavy metal and hard rock. I mean, it was the biggest selling Come On Feel the Noise and Mental Health and Slick Black Cadillac. I mean, it was really an awesome album. Definitely, if you're going back to look at the 80s, you should look at that one. I mean, then there was the album that changed everything, the electric guitar, Van Halen's debut CD, you know, basically had Running with the Devil, which is a great riff, a great song. But then Eruption, I mean, Eddie Van Halen, no one played guitar like that. It changed the world. It changed rock and roll, you know. And then there was You Really Got Me, a cover of, well, you know, The Who, and Ain't Talking About Love, which was my favorite Eddie guitar solo. I mean, this album had Jamie's Crying, Atomic Punk. Every song is a hit. There are no bad songs. Ice Cream Man is tongue-in-cheek, David Lee Roth all the way. Eddie Van Halen, really, Eruption, changed the way guitar players played the guitar. And he was the only one doing it like that, and never did it that well. He was just an amazing guitarist, and I mean, he was just outstanding. Another classic album in the 80s was the Scorpions' Love at First Sting, which came out in 1984. I remember it distinctly because I went on a student exchange with Jasper Park High School. They came down to Thetford Mines, my hometown, for a week. There was a whole classroom of them. We had billets and stuff. And then we went there for a week. And basically, that's the song we played on the bus constantly. Love at First Sting by the Scorpions. I mean, Rock You Like a Hurricane, Big City Nights, Still Loving You, I'm Coming Home, Leaving You. I mean, just a variety of hits, one after the other. Another one was Footloose, that also came out. I saw that movie in Edmonton. That week was amazing. I saw it, Footloose, and I also saw the Edmonton Oilers win their first Stanley Cup. And I saw the city basically go from a ghost town to bumper to bumper traffic and people everywhere you look. I mean, it was just amazing. You know, definitely. Also, another big album during the 80s was Def Leppard with Pyromania, that had Rock Till You Drop, Rock of Ages, Photograph, my favorite song to this day. Rock of Ages. It had Too Late for Love, Foolin', Billy's Got a Gun. Unfortunately, it never made it to number one because it had the misfortune of coming out after the greatest albums of all time. Michael Jackson's Thriller came out, so it only reached number two. I mean, Michael Jackson has the number one selling album, Thriller, of all time, with Beat It, Billie Jean, and to name a few. And I mean, the Thriller, the videos were just humongous. Another band that was really defined the 80s was Guns N' Roses with Appetite for Destruction. They came out with Welcome to the Jungle, Paradise City, Sweet Child of Mine. It's just awesome debut album. I mean, you couldn't watch MTV without seeing one of those videos on. I mean, it was like Home Sweet Home from Motley Crue, or The Final Countdown, or Pour Some Sugar on Me, which won how many Battle of the Bands back when MTV and Much Music played music videos. They had Battle of the video clips, and those aforementioned songs, I mean, constantly won for like 3 months, some of them, just amazing. Also, Bon Jovi, Slippery and Wet, You Give Love a Bad Name, Living on a Prayer, Wanted Dead or Alive, Raise Your Hands, wall to wall, great album. Bon Jovi's breakout album. 7800 Fahrenheit with In and Out of Love and Price of Love was really good too. But I mean, he really nailed it with that one. Guns N' Roses could have came out with an album as good as Appetite when they put out Use You or Losing 1 and 2, which were the top 10 on the top 10 on Billboard. So they had two albums at the same time. For the first time, a band had two studio albums on the top 10 in Billboard. But Use You or Losing 1 and 2, they could have compacted together and formed one amazing album, and that would have done it. Basically, it was an amazing album. Also, Whitesnake, which is the very first concert I ever saw, was Whitesnake opening for Motley Crue on Girls, Girls, Girls at the Montreal Forum with my buddy Richie. And basically, Still the Night, Here I Go Again, Is This Love? I mean, Whitesnake, The Deeper the Love, and their follow-up album, just phenomenal. But that album sold 10 million copies. Still the Night is one of my favorite songs to this day. Ironically, the band that played on the studio, John Sykes and Cosby Powell and friends, they weren't the players that played on the tour. It was Rudy Sarzo on bass, Tommy Aldridge on drums, and it was the guy from Dio that later went to Def Leppard. I'll think of his name in a minute. And basically Adrian Vandenberg. And basically it was an all-star band, and it was Motley Crue Girls sold 2 million, but 10 million copies sold worldwide of Whitesnake. It was a great tour. I also saw Kiss on their Revenge tour, who had Trickster and Faster Pussycat. I saw them at the Bell Center. I saw Tesla and Motley Crue at the Sky Dome during the Dr. Feelgood tour. I also saw Metallica and Aerosmith at Ontario Place. That was just amazing. Just an amazing concert. Two great bands. And I also saw Bryan Adams last year or the year before in Levy. Sounds as great as ever. In great shape. His voice is amazing. And we're going to see AC/DC in the month of September at Jean Drapeau Park. So that'll be awesome. Basically, the 80s were filled with number one albums. I mean, Skid Row on their debut album had Youth Gone Wild, 18 in Life, Poison, the Look What the Cat Dragged In album, sold millions of copies. I Won't Forget You, Talk Dirty to Me, basically a huge album. I Want Action. I mean, it was just insane. You know, what else? Motley Crue, Shouted at the Devil. During my Edmonton tour, I heard about this band called Motley Crue, and they had come out with Shout at the Devil. And I remember buying it and listening to it at my Uncle Stanley's place and in the basement. And that's when I first heard Mick Mars. And what an amazing guitar player he was. Um, Dokken under lock and key, George Lynch at his best. I mean, In My Dreams, The Hunter, Unchained the Night, you know, just an amazing album. They had like three or four really good albums, you know, that were just amazing. Warrant, it also had, you know, their debut album along with White Lion, Rat, with Wanted Man, Round and Round. I mean, just one amazing band after the other, classics. You know, I remember being in high school and seeing these bands come out. Brian Adams, Somebody in summer of '69. I mean, he sounded exactly the same in concert. You know, also another big album in the 80s was Judas Priest and Iron Maiden. I mean, Judas Priest with Screaming for Vengeance and Iron Maiden with Number of the Beast. I mean, the British invasion was complete. Def Leppard also from England. I mean, just some of the great British bands that have existed over the years. But man, I mean, the 80s were great to grow up. You know, I saw so many concerts and I saw, you know, I regret never seeing Ozzy. You know, he was the one guy I wanted to see but never did. And he was amazing. I mean, No More Tears with Mama I'm Coming Home, Desire, Hellraiser, that was a great album. And Kiss Revenge was their last great studio album, I feel. You know, after that, the guys just never really measured up to what they once used to be. I mean, they sold millions of albums. I mean, it was hard being a Kiss fan in the 70s because everyone would always say, well, they're only famous and popular because of the makeup. Well, then you'd put on a Kiss song, shout it out loud, you know, Love Gone or Shot Me or Calling Dr. Love. And they say, oh, that's pretty good. And it would be like Kiss. You know, Beth was a big hit for Kiss. And basically it was amazing. You know, Tesla was another band. Great radio controversy, Hang Tough, Heaven's Trail, Love Song, just beautiful songs. Really, you know, it was really fun. The 80s, you had Cinderella with Nobody's Fool and Shake Me, and then Gypsy Road, and Don't Know What You Got Till It's Gone, the ballad, huge. Winger, I mean, did Miles Away on their follow-up album, which was a great ballad, but 17 and Hungry on their debut album. I mean, just amazing albums. I mean, all 5150 from Van Halen, my favorite Van Halen album other than their debut. My favorite album with Sammy Hagar, and basically the whole album again, amazing. Not a bad song in the whole lot. I mean, some mentions with honorable mentions: Queensryche, Operation Mindcrime, and Empire, and Jet City Woman, Best I Can. I mean, just some really great songs that came from them. White Lion and Warrant, and Twisted Sister, who had the greatest video of all time. What do you want to do with your life? I want to rock. And man, it was just an amazing video. And I mean, We're Not Going to Take It, Stay Hungry, and The Price were off the album. And Twisted Sister was, you know, just blew everyone away. Their album follow-up was to Come Out and Play with Blonde. It was horrible. They came out with an album afterward called Love Is for Suckers. If that would have been their follow-up, their career might have lasted longer, but Come Out and Play really killed it. Just like when Quiet Riot, they did, you know, another Slade, Mama, We're All Crazy Now on their follow-up, you know, and then they did, you know, they did horribly. and they eventually faded out, and that was the end of it.